we go. Okay, I'm just getting rid of some stuff. Alrighty, well, my name is Port Cunningham, and I don't know where my honorable co-host, the world's handsomest man, is, Frank Oliver Beans, but he's probably having a nap, which has happened on occasion, but I'm sure he'll show up at some point, hopefully. So we're here today, and I'm really honored to have Bill Homann on the show. Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Doing real good. Glad to be
You
here.
got away with, I usually do a real deluxe, over the top kind of introduction, but seems my partner's not here, and I'll spare you that. But needless to say, we like to have fun. So,
Right. Well, that's what this. I think that's what we're missing in the world. People have to start having more fun and have more joy, and I think that would change things around a lot.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, I don't know if you know anything about me, but I mean, I know you've had some Sasquatch experiences too, and we'll get into that as well. But they're all about high vibrational contact. You can only really connect with them when you're on a higher vibration. Like, they're not going to come around if you're like talking doom and gloom, or you're,
Yeah. Well, it's a whole different thing, and it's a state of mind, and if your mind is 3D, you don't really connect to their level. So that's what I feel.
Yeah, I feel so. I agree. And it's I've seen it played out practically, like at a camp out or whatever. If we're talking about the world today and all the problems or whatever, they don't come around. But as soon as you start talking spirituality and about them and their amazing abilities and high vibrational stuff, or even laughing and playing music, they're right there.
Right there.
Right there, man.
Yeah.
So tell me about Bill Homann. Tell me a little bit about how you got started in spirituality. I guess that's what you would.
Okay, well,
to be.
It goes back to my childhood. I've always had that connection as long as I can remember, and it's just been, so I feel, spirituality and learning about life and everything is something you keep doing all your life. It's not something that when you're 8 years old, you think of God sitting in a chair up in the sky, and then when you're 70 years old, you're thinking the same thing. Well, you're kind of didn't evolve to really get the true understanding of what we're more than our physical body. So if you stay in a 3D all the time, it's kind of limiting. But I like to learn, and I like adventure, and I've kind of put that as an important part of my life, and I use that to kind of move me along. And especially lately, I've been moved along very good with adventures. So, but I would say that you have to find what resonates within yourself, not outside, because so many people are letting outside stuff direct their life, and outside people that have their opinion of what it is, trying to put their opinion on you. And you really church and everything is inside of you. And if you go into that, it connects with all this. And that's like the Sasquatch, if you're in a regular outside mind living there, you'll never connect to that frequency or vibration. So that's with a lot of things. And the more that you work it and the more you're around it, the more natural it is, and the more that energy and stuff will work with you and help you. So it's an exciting. We're living in a major exciting time right now, and so many people are seeing the fear of it. But if you live in the fear of it, you're going to create the fear of it. And so it's right now. It's time for us to take control of our minds and put them in a 0 point where all this bad stuff is happening. Oh, you hear this today in the news, and they give you more stuff in the news to keep you out of balance and everything, and in fear, and keep your mind, off of what's really important. And if you can just kind of stay right in the center, and then think about what you do want, not what you don't want. You want to see the good things for the world and the good things that could be here as creator beings, which we are. that could happen. The only thing keeps us away from that is our own limiting thoughts and minds. So it's an exciting time because people are waking up, they're taking control of their thoughts, and they're seeing the possibility of what could be. And world peace is right there if we choose it. And I think I'm ready to choose it. I don't know about you, or I know you do probably, and I think that's where most people are, but they don't know how to do it. And how you do it is just live it, you know.
Yeah, that's that's such a core truth of the Sasquatch lessons that they've taught me is, like we're controlled by fear. We're controlled by the lie of division, judgment, all these things that are not our true nature, not our true universal self, are controlling us. And that's why, like up to now, and things I do think things are changing. We have been controlled by the few because, we don't realize that we're all one and all connected. If we realize that, we're extremely powerful. And then, in that, it evolves into no fear and all the things that the tools that have kept us down for so long, they just can't use them. So it is an exciting time, and I've always thought that too. As bad as it is, it's extremely exciting because things are changing.
Right. And you know what? If it wasn't bad, we would go on the way it is forever.
Yes.
Because it is bad, it's either going to push us to a higher level or push us back. And, like you're going to go out of the toilet or into it. One way, but we're going to go somewhere because we're being pushed, And
it takes a slap in the face to wake us up and to say, wait a minute, something's wrong. And actually, in that context, we, as weird as it sounds, well, it doesn't really sound weird to me. And, and sometimes I don't always follow this because I get caught up once in a while in the emotions of what's going on because my wife lives in the States and I live in Canada. And so we can't be together right now because how the world is today, but we will be. But we actually, like the Bidens and the Trudeaus and all these guys, we actually have to thank them because they are the ones that are slapping our face and waking us up.
That is it. Yeah.
So they're playing their part too.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? The negative and the positive is where we're at in this dual world. And if we didn't have the negative, we couldn't have the positive. So it works together. So the things that are happening to us is it's squeezing the toothpaste tube, and we're going to have to move. We've got to do something. So if you can really come above the emotions that we have on our everyday emotion to get above that, and the kind of what the skull is working on now, because the skull they say comes back at a time when the world needs help, and we definitely could use help right now. But it's as you feel it, and good chance because even over the Zoom you can feel the energy as it goes into you. It has a very positive, very peaceful, very joy. It's a universal love.
Yeah.
And
universal. Yeah. Well, I mean, my relationship with the Sasquatch, when I'm talking about them and I'm talking truth, I get like what I call an energy buzz, which does feel loving. And it's just like a confirmation of, yes, you're on the right subject or whatever. And I'm actually feeling something with that skull. I'm feeling something right in my head here, across my chest. And it's really, it's powerful.
But it's very peaceful too, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not like it's overpowering. It's just very gentle. It's there. It's like,
it is overpowering in a sense, but in a very manageable, peaceful way. It's strong, is what I'm saying. Yeah. But it's not like intrusive, and it's not, and it's it's obviously good. It's a good energy.
So it's what it does, and it says that it's here for opening up people to universal love. And we work with different indigenous groups, and they're coming through with the prophecy of they're the ones that are bringing all the nations together, which is kind of where we're at right now. And if we can come out of the fact that we're Joe Blow living in such and such a town in this such and such a country, and realize that we're part of this universal consciousness. We're all together, and we come
Yeah.
into that. It's a whole different thing, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm all on board with that. I mean, what I find intriguing and interesting and revealing is that what you're telling me about the skull and its message and such, and we'll get way more into that, of course, is identical to what the Sasquatch people are talk about and benevolent Star Nations races. So it seems like it's a real big joint effort at this particular time in our human history to wake us up.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting lit up with energy again. I don't know if that's my Sasquatch guys or your skull.
The
It feels like a bit of both.
Yeah, the skull gets along with the Sasquatch, of course, because of their multidimensional beings. And, you know, when you think about them, they're with you. It's what it is. They really are. An energy of them is with you. Same with the skull. It does that. So it's pretty neat.
Well, I've always called energy, and I've learned a lot about it, the universal language, because, you know, words can be deceptive. They can be misinterpreted.
Oh, yeah.
But energy, if you can read it, you know, is the true language.
Right. Well, they say that's the problem with humanity is language that we speak. If we go back to the old way where we communicate with our minds, then everything would be perfectly understood. But when you say a word to one person, it means something bad, and the other person you're trying to say something good. It throws off everything. So if we could go back to our way where we just sit here, we'll just sit here and just mind to each other. That'll be good.
Well, just have a conversation with somebody on Messenger or something, and if you've got a sense of humor and they don't appreciate or don't understand that kind of sense of humor, you can get into all kinds of misunderstandings, and they actually think that you're in. You know, they take it in a negative way when it's not like that, and that's exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
But energy doesn't do that.
Correct. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you said as a young child, let's go right back to the beginning, and I really want to find. I wrote down a couple of questions about the skull, and I'm just fascinated.
Okay.
You said as a young child, you were kind of awake, and I think people like us, you know, were brought here for this specific purpose. So we have an awareness even as kids.
Right.
But what was your experience? You know, your first experiences with knowing you were maybe different or what? Or how you want to say?
What I try to do is be myself, and you know, being yourself doesn't really. Everybody likes everybody to be in a certain box, you know. So when you're yourself, that makes it a little different. But since I've always questioned since I was young, I believe I've had a little bit of like ET stuff. So when I was 3, in different parts through my life, and the ETs is like pretty much similar to the Sasquatch and anything that is multidimensional. So, you know, it's like everybody wants to see a flying saucer and they think, oh, I saw it going through the air. But basically, these entities are working on a higher frequency, and they're able to, if they want, communicate with us anytime they want. And we're able to communicate with them also. So it's just coming into that understanding. So, yeah, I started out in a parochial school, and I was in it for 9 years of my life starting out. And that was always really important to me. And religion, I took it very seriously, and I still, not religion, but spirituality is what I really am, you know, is my what I go into and I believe in. But and then I went into the service, and you know, we'd go to a different place, and I'd have to go to a different church, and I started that, and that was good. And then another place, I would, you know, I'd try all these different churches and all the different styles of belief systems, and I always, you know, I always felt there was more, and so I got into some Robert Monroe stuff, where you have the out-of-body experience stuff, and started working with that. And then I got into Eckankar at the time when Eckankar was a spiritual path, not a religion. It's kind of gotten messed up in the last 30 years, I'd say. But before that, in its pure sense, it was connecting with all these different planes and places and masters and teachers and that kind of opened me up a lot. Like I say, one of the things I loved was adventure, and I was stationed in Panama at the time, and I'd go out to this little island, and they had a restaurant right on the beach, and the lady that was the owner of it would sit and talk, and she's very English, and she would tell stories when she was younger of Mitchell Hedges coming with. He was a fisherman. He was one of the world top fishermen, and he was come there in the bay and park his boat and get supplies and stuff. And that first time I heard about Mitchell Hedges, and then not too long after that, I saw a picture of the crystal skull, and that kind of really impacted me. I didn't understand it, but it was really strong. And it wasn't until after I got out of the service that I heard about where the skull was and was given the number to call up there, and I did. And as soon as I did, Anna invites me up to see the skull. And so, wow, that was the start of a change, because she's she was the most interesting woman I ever met, as far as she had some of the greatest adventures. And so she would tell me the adventures, and then spending time with the skull, which to me, it has connected very strongly, and it works right. There's nothing without a reason, so, and that's how I started to be around the skull and understand it and work with it. And I'd go up there for years until her secretary passed, and then she decided to move to England. And then she was over there a while, and then moved back to the United States. No, moved back to Canada. And then there's problems. I said, "Oh, come to live with me in Indiana." So she did that for like 3 years, and then she went back to Canada and bought a house, sold that, moved to England and bought a house. And then after she decided that wasn't right, came back to Canada and bought a house. And she was, yeah, and this is in her 90s. She's doing that, moving a 4-bedroom house all over the world.
In her 90s?
In her 90s, yeah.
Wow, how long did she live for?
She was 100. Yeah.
Wow.
So the last 8 years of her life, she was real sick up there. And I said, "Well, come back to Indiana and I'll take care of you. We'll have adventures." So she came back, and we ended up going to Central America and all kind of different things that she needed to do, and got her in good health. And she lasted another 9 years. So that was pretty good. But that was, but at the time, and she wanted me to have it and to take care of it, because she believed I would take care of it the way she expected it to be taken care of, which I have been doing the best to do that. But the thing is as I am around it more, and the more I learn about it, because it's a learning thing, I've learned that there's a reason. If you believe in past lives and things like that, where it came from is a place that I was very much a part of, and then bringing it forward. So I'm at a time here now where the world is in a kind of a little bit of an upset, and it's a proper time to be here, and I'm trying to do the best job I can. That's what I'm doing.
So how long is this particular, the Mitchell Hedges skull, how long has it been, I don't know, unearthed or whatever? How long has it been in,
And okay, there's what it is academia does not like the crystal skull, because it does not fit into anything that, it's like the pyramids. They can't really date them. They can't figure out who made the skull or how it was made against the grain, which is impossible. It has inside the skull lenses and prisms perfectly directed through the skull that would take zero gravity to have somebody build a crystal this size and have that precision inside of it. It had to be, it's just not something that just naturally happened. It had to be made that way. It's perfectly made in 2 pieces. The jaw is separate from the top. And how's that happen? No, so there's a whole bunch of things that nobody understands. And what really got them is in 1970, Hewlett Packard, they were the experts in crystal. They were the doctors, the top people in the world in crystal, and they determined that they have no idea who or how it was made, because it's impossible. And so they've spent millions of dollars trying to discredit the skull. But, instead of that, they should just let, because they don't want anybody to feel that. I feel that we've been here for many, many eons, and we've had civilizations that are more advanced than us and have been destroyed in the past at least 4 times. And in bringing that into knowledge, then you can understand where something like this came from. It's piezoelectric quartz. It's the same kind of quartz you make computer chips out of. And one doctor in gemology told me that if you took a piece of this skull the size of your little finger, you could put all the knowledge of every IBM computer in the country on that little bit. So that kind of surprised me. But so it's an amazing thing, but it's here as a gift to mankind, and I'm just trying to do the best I can to do that job.
Yeah. Well, Mitchell Hedges, he was the guy, the original, well, maybe not the original owner, obviously, but the original owner that you knew.
Well, Mitchell Hedges is the one that him and his daughter, he was a British explorer, and he was down in Central America at the same time the Nazis were in Central America looking for power artifacts. And they did it, they were looking all over the world, but they were looking down there because they felt, that there were a lot of those energy things that they would like to use, because Hitler was into all that kind of metaphysical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he worked for the British Secret Service, and he was down there at the same time looking for this, and he heard about a city that was buried in the jungle, and he thought it was the White City, which was supposed to be the one that was the connection. He found another one called Lubantun, and it was down in southern, British Honduras, but now Belize. And he uncovered 7 pyramids, and then the tallest one is where the skull was found. It was found, basically, was his youngest daughter. The kids were told never to go on the pyramids. They're dangerous because the snakes and the rocks moving. But she wanted to go on top because they said if you went up on top, you could see all the way to the ocean. And when everybody took a siesta in the middle of the day, her and a couple of the Mayan kids snuck to the top of it, looking to see the ocean. It was all cloudy. The clouds moved, and when the sun came out, it came down and went through a rock that had moved, and there was a light inside and deep in the pyramid. And she told her dad she was in trouble, but he thought there must be something there. So he put together a group the next day, and they went up and they started opening it up, and it started to collapse because they were going too fast. So then they slowly took one stone at a time, so they got a small hole, and that's what they put his adopted daughter Anna, and they lowered her into it, and she's the one that came out of it. Was in her shirt was the top of the skull. That was in 1924. So
wow.
Yeah, so it's an adventure if you like adventure.
Oh, yeah, sounds like something like what's that?
Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a tie to that. The tie to Indiana Jones is this gentleman was working up in Toronto in 1979 and called this friend of ours who's the psychic for the Anna and the skull, and she told him all about the skull and F.A. Mitchell Hedges and Anna, and he wanted to see it, and they called over there, and she was going to England the next day, so she couldn't see him, but she gave him all the information, and that was in like 1979. In 1986, he came out with a movie called Raiders of the Lost Ark with Spielberg. So Mitchell Hedges is connected in a big way to Indiana Jones. So I kind of like Indiana Jones, so I kind of like that a lot. And then another thing we found out recently is I got an old letter in Mitchell Hedges' trunk of letters, and it was from the head of Naval Intelligence. And it was a letter to Mitchell Hedges, but it was a coded letter, and that was pretty neat. But then when they looked at the bottom, and they had they always typed the names or the initials of the person who did the writing, who wrote it up for him. The guy that wrote it up, he was in Britain working in Secret Service. His name was Ian Fleming.
Oh, James Bond?
James Bond. So now I can say, hey, Mitchell Hedges is James Bond and Indiana Jones all in one. That's pretty cool.
Wow. So when did the skull go from Mitchell Hedges to the lady that you got it from, or was there?
It was found in 1924,
yeah.
And when they found it, they presented it to the high priest, and they kept it there they put a fire around it, and they put it on an altar, and people would come to see it for 3 years. But when he had to leave and close off the expedition, they presented it back to him in 1927. And so he had it from 1927 till he passed away in 1959. And it went to his adopted daughter, Anna. And she had it from 1959 till she passed away in 2007. So in 2007, she passed it to me, and I've had it since. So when I would go around, I could feel her and her father watching me really close every time they're right behind me. But now they're kind of going along with me, so they're giving me a little bit more freedom. So that's nice.
So I was going to ask you, I had some questions, but you kind of basically answered it. Because I don't know a whole lot about it, except for the fact that, like you said, there's no way that modern
they try they come up and try to do things and say things, and if you really it's nothing has been proven other than it's not even possible today. So that's where it's at. Yeah
It's kind of like the pure, well, maybe even on a bigger scale as far as impossibility, but they don't, they can't figure out how they made it. Nobody.
There's a lot of ancient things that they're finding all over the world now, and they're not coming up with, it doesn't fit their scheme of things, but what we have to do is we have to have a broader viewpoint of the world and our history and our connections. Like even in the Bible, they talk about extraterrestrials, and they have different names for them, but they have that in the Bible, and now so many thousand years later, there's no connection like that, but it was written in Genesis about the Anunnaki, and so it's strange, but it's time for people to wake up and bring back the real history of the world, the true history of the world.
Absolutely, and I think that's happening. Hey there, Mr. Beans.
It is, yeah.
Thanks for showing up.
And it's the connection with these ET forces, that we have to come into understanding that is real, and there is something there, and one of these days they're going to land on our front yard, and we'll say, I guess they are real, but it's getting closer,
So I guess you already answered this, but just to reiterate, so what actually is the skull made of, and do they know what it's made of?
Yeah, it's piezoelectric quartz. It's the quartz that it has element 77, which is makes it have an electrical connection to it. It's what they use, like I said, to make computer chips out of.
Wow. So I have looked into them on a rudimentary scale. So how many of these skulls are in there's a few that haven't been found, apparently. There's some knowledge that there's a certain amount, and some are still undiscovered. Is that correct?
Yeah, what the legend says, that there's 13 of these skulls.
Right.
And they say that the 13 skulls are, they were used as communicating devices from the advanced civilization, probably Atlantis, and the different holders of these skulls were in different parts of the planet, and they were able to communicate in this communication device. The Mayans said this is a mouthpiece to the gods. That's what they call it.
Wow.
So that's the connection. So they could connect with all of them. So there's, of the 13, there's possibly 4 that are found, but there's a lot of beautiful, old, powerful skulls that are being found in different parts of the world. But they're not, they're not the 13 civilizations. Thank you. Excuse me. Yeah.
So how many are found? There's 4 that are found right now.
There's possibly 4. Yeah, but there's ones in different parts of the world, and we're working on a thing that we're going to be able to go and look for these skulls. The thing is when most of the time when they have an expedition looking for something, they go and they have a little bit of an idea, they have a map, and they go around and look at, oh, I think it's right here, and they dig a hole, and it's not there. Okay, well, we didn't find it. It's like, this friend of mine that's the psychic, Carol Davis, she would go watch Exploration Unknown all the time, and she'd be in it and she'd watch them and they'd be looking for something and they didn't find it, but she would have, and she keeps saying, if you would have moved up 5 steps this way and 2 there, it's right there, because she's a psychic and she can see it. And the thing is, if you're going to do stuff like that, you need special people to be a part of the team to locate some of these special artifacts. These skulls at right this time, they want to be found, so they're ready to come out. So it'd be very neat to be able to go and open up a few and see them. Yeah.
And so this
the
lady,
ones that are found. Pardon?
and so this lady, when she said it's right here, 2 steps to the left or whatever, and it has panned out to be true in some cases.
Well, you know what, it was a TV show, so she's just watching it and she's seeing where it's at, and she says it. Oh, you should have done this, but she's good enough, and I've been around her where she's done this before, and so I trust her very explicitly. Like Sammy, Anna Mitchell Hedges, the owner of the skull before me, and Carol, the 3 of us went down to Honduras, and we went to a place called Homann, and that's where Mitchell Hedges spent time working with the various archaeologists, because that's one of the largest dig sites in all the Mayan civilization. So it's a big one, and they just found the Red Lady at Capan when we were there, and so they just opened up this new tomb. And so working with Carol there, they asked her some questions, and she told them exactly how the place was laid out and what was in it, and then she told them stuff that they didn't know was there, and they about fell over. So that was pretty wild. So I've been around her when she's looking up stuff like that, and she's really good. Yeah.
Excuse me. The idea of looking for the skulls is one thing, but I mean, in this particular case, I think that the skull revealed it. I mean, obviously with the light coming down, I think that when they're supposed to be found, they will be revealed in some way, kind of like this one was found.
Right. Well, it's like this. If you weren't supposed to find it, you could walk past it every day of your life and never know it was there.
Right.
And if you're supposed to find it, you'd go right to it. So I know that's the case, but like I say, they're wanting to come out. So with the right frequency and the right people, it's not like you could just have anybody looking for them, but if you have the right connection and they're calling you to find them, it's time for that now.
What do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen when they find all 13? Something dramatic and beautiful?
What? There's one legend saying there's peace in the world, if that's possible. But asking the skull about that, it says there could be peace in the world today. All it would take is the right number of people coming together with that positive, powerful thought in their mind. They would make it happen. So it's more that we have the power in ourselves to make that change. But as long as we're staying in fear and out of balance, that's not going to ever happen.
No, and that's exactly why you say this is such an exciting time, because I feel that process is happening, shifting and changing.
Yeah, it is really happening. Yeah, it is. So, and the like you were talking about the Sasquatch, and they're multidimensional beings, and they're here still on the planet, and they will gladly work with the humans to help us now. So,
Yeah.
I kind of, when they did the change of the DNA thousands of years ago and created the human, I think the possibility that the Sasquatch were not in the group that got changed, and they have evolved with more psychic, spiritual abilities, where we've kind of gone into a more physical world abilities. So I kind of had an idea about that of the Sasquatch. So
Yeah. Well,
just something to think about.
we'd be pretty hard to control if we had all those abilities or whatever. I mean, when you when you get dumbed down, we're easy to control, because then
Right.
we live in fear and whatever, like I said. But so, what are the names of the other three skulls? Or you said there were three others?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the names I can say right now.
Okay. Yeah. So, what is the skull telling you about its origins? Has it talked to you about that? And what is it?
Okay. Well, you know what? It works. It goes back, and it is like a template for the human mind here in the physical plane, the dense three-dimensional world that was brought through from the higher beings to create this whole illusion of what we're living in right now. It's kind of the template of it, and it is, as you connect to it, and if you're with it, it connects real deep inside your DNA, and you have, like, a lot of people will feel like an old friend when they're around it, because it wakens something up inside of you, and there has that memory come back. So one of the things the skull is saying, it's important, is time to remember. This is the time to remember. And so if we remember our childhood, and we remember what happened in 5th grade and stuff like this, is remembering our past, going way back into our history of our soul on this dimensional time. And
exactly.
We come into a fact that we have, we're more powerful than just what we think. We have the abilities. We're humans, which means God-men. And so we have that creative ability inside of us and as we come into our knowledge of who we are, we take back that power, and we're able to use it to help ourselves, our families, our friends, and our world. And that's where that's exciting. Yeah.
I mean, I can feel that on a personal level. So it's, to me, it's a fact. And everything you're saying resonates exactly with what I have been taught and what I know as well. So it's just there's a real consistency of the message.
I find that as I travel all over, what the message is coming through is that the people are ready to wake up, and they see this, and it's not like, oh, this is neat, but the people are feeling that. And I feel there's if you know the 100th monkey thing, and the fact is, as we raise our consciousness, it's not going to take 66 billion people or anything like that. There's just a certain number of people that will reach this consciousness, and all of a sudden everything will click, and we'll be in a place that'll never go back, because we'll be in this higher consciousness. And that's very, very exciting, very, very hopeful for the future.
I absolutely agree. Did you want to chip in with something there, Mr. Beans? Welcome aboard. You talking? I can't hear him.
Oh.
Anyway, while he's figuring that out, so can we see what's the bottom of the skull like? Can you lift it up? And
let's see. I'll just open up a little bit and show you the jaw and stuff.
Oh my God!
It's two pieces. The jaw, the top and the bottom, the molines line up perfectly.
So oh my God, that's amazing!
Exactly from one piece of crystal. Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. What does it look like when sunshine filters through it?
Let's see if I get a it with light, it does all kind of things. Yeah,
Oh,
'cause it's got,
wow. Geez,
yeah,
that's gorgeous.
yeah. When you take pictures of it, it does some really funny things. I was out in the beach at by Malibu, and we were on the beach, and this young lady had these bowls, beautiful bowls that she was playing, and it was dark. And as she was playing the bowls, just taking a picture of it without a flash, just taking a picture, the skull would turn these beautiful colors. It was really neat. And how that happens, I don't know. But it's done enough strange things. I don't take it as strange. I just kind of go along with it. But yeah, there's with you when you're sitting with it and we take a picture of it, it takes the energy of the area and it takes your energy and you can see it as what you take of you, and then I took somebody right next to you. They're completely different. So that's kind of neat.
Wow. Is it any different? Is it any different? Because like with healing and stuff, you can do healing right when you're with it.
Yeah,
You can do it remotely. So can you feel the power of the skull? Is it any more intense when you're in its presence, or time and space doesn't matter? Because I can feel it right
now. I'm really used to it and I'm connected to it. And so I can feel, I work with it so much that when I'm working with people and there's energy transfer, I can feel it going into them just as it happens. It's pretty wild. It's something new that's been happening lately. So like I say, I'm learning and growing with it all the time too. But as far as healing, there's a lot of people have made really major comments of what it's done for them, but it's not like I can say, hey, you got a sore arm, okay, we're going to heal that. It doesn't do that. It does what it wants to do or what it needs to do at a time it needs to do it. And it doesn't just go on your physical body. It's your mental, your physical, your spiritual, and your psychic. So if somebody has a sore shoulder, it could be caused by something that's like a psychic problem or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting how that works. And I never say, oh, it's going to heal you, but I've had this, people that just recently there was a guy came with his wife and a few people, and they were just watching, and he didn't even believe in it, but he just kind of was there because she was there, and he thought that was good. And he laughed as he was going out to the car. He felt a crack in his back, and his back was froze together. They did it so it wouldn't even move, and because and it wasn't supposed to crack. It cracked like that, and all of a sudden the pain that he had for years went away. Now, was that he did say thank you, but who's to say what caused that? I thought that was kind of neat, though.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a dog barking in the background. So when you say work with people, how does that process go with the skull?
Okay, well, the skull, this one does different things, and one things that does, it works individually, one-on-one, like we're talking here. If I was working with you on it, it mirrors your inner self, and that's what I find interesting, because there could be 1,000 people that come to see it, and each one will get something different. And so it's not like one thing fits all, because it goes into your inner self. And a lot of times, if you're living a life that isn't in line with your true self and your true happiness, a lot of times it makes things pretty rough, because it'll break up patterns a lot of times and change lives, but it'll put you in a position for happiness, and possibility to be your full self. But also, some people, all of a sudden, they've always wanted to be a writer or something, and all of a sudden they start doing that they never did before. So I find it really neat to help and change lives. That's what I do. I change lives with it, So, yeah, so I do that. And then, but see, it works with land and energy lines on the planet. When I first got the skull, see, I didn't really know that much about how it works and all that. I knew it, she trained me, but as far as this everyday, what it does, how it works. But I was invited to to Australia, and I was 3 years before that. They were saying that I was going to be coming. So when I got there, they were waiting for me, the Aborigines, and they had me take the skull out to this sacred spot. It was by an ancient volcano, and they said there was a sun line that had been blocked for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so we took the skull and they put it, and they did a ceremony, and then supposedly it opened it up, and it freed the energy. And the line went from the caldera all through the sea, all the way to Machu Picchu. That had been blocked for hundreds of years. So since I learned that, now I use it, take it to other sacred spots, and use that to help restore energy.
So when you first got the skull, like you said, you didn't understand it totally when you first initially got it. Was there a time, a dramatic point when it kind of introduced itself to you? If you know what I mean?
I've been working with it for 15, 20 years before that. So we were, I was quite connected to it. Yeah. But just there's a lot to learn, because it's a big subject to cover, So I'm learning all the time. I'm still learning, and hopefully I don't ever want to stop learning. That's life,
But because you are the proprietor of it right now, is there a different relationship with you and the skull than there would be with somebody who just comes to see it?
Oh yeah. It's because, well, I have certain connection things that have been passed on by the different Mayan elders and stuff that given me the that's lock connection. I don't know what you call it, but yeah. So it's like Anna stayed with me for the last 8 years of her life, and she broke her hip one time and had to go to the hospital. And she, for the first time, had me take care of the skull completely. I had to take care of it while she was in the hospital. And so I got home and I picked it up and I was going to move it, and I looked at it, and the skull. Right now, if you look at it, it looks pretty happy,
Mm-hmm.
But the thing changed in such a way that it's like my blood froze. It was that bad of a look, and what it was, it didn't know I was supposed to take it, I guess, and be able to move it and be a part of it, So since then, that since she passed it on and everything like that, it works with me all the time. But it's crazy on how that worked that one time,
Are you saying
I'll never forget it. Yeah.
Are you saying that its facial expression actually changed?
You have no idea.
Like morphed or whatever? Like
a look that you don't want to have. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. That's
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's never boring, that's for sure.
Absolutely amazing. So have you witnessed any I know what you're saying exactly when you say, because that's how crystals will work too. And like when you want a healing or whatever, sometimes, like you said, it's not always what you think you want. It's what you need. So
yeah, well, people in their mind have limited ideas of who and what things are, and sometimes the higher beings can see things a lot differently.
Yeah, but have you witnessed any healings?
Well, let's see. I've been around a lot where people are healed, and it's not like I can't say the skull did it. It just happened to be there, and it happened after they left or right when they leave. Yeah.
Well, pretty strong clue there, I would think.
But yeah, but it's not something I don't go around and tell them it's a healing skull of love. It works on your heart and heals your heart. It does that. But,
well, that's everything. I mean, we have to become more heartfelt beings. That's the Sasquatch.
Well, our heart is that's our real power, is our heart.
Yeah.
And coming in contact with that, for sure.
So you've gone to a few, I saw you went to Kelly Rainbow Butterflies, one of her
Right.
gatherings. So how did the skull and the Sasquatch get along? Were there any ever was there some
This,
interesting interaction there?
yeah, the interaction with the beings of that are multidimensional are quite, immediately and multi ways. They could be different planes all over the place. So yeah, they interact. Yeah, the skull gets along with the soul switch. It gets along with uh, the different spiritual beings of all types, all levels. So yeah, it works with them.
How about interesting? And I want to get into you've had some Sasquatch experiences too, I guess. I want to talk to you about. But how about a malevolent being? How does it act around them, or how do you experience that?
A benevolent being, okay. And how do you consider a benevolent being? Just kind of.
Well, I mean, there's balance in the light and the dark. So what's
Okay.
bad and what's good is not necessarily it's an
Yeah.
interpretation, I suppose. But somebody, like let's say something like a reptilian or whatever that, and they're not all bad, but something like that. How would it interact with somebody who doesn't have our best interest at heart, or follows the
Well,
darkness more than the light?
it doesn't allow them into the space. No, it, it puts there's a kind of a wall up there. Yeah.
And you've witnessed that?
It's doing a certain work, and it's here and it's programmed to be a positive effect on humanity at this time. And it works with more of a spiritual essence entirely. Okay. So if it's something that is along that vibration, it's very comfortable with it. But anything that is working in what you would consider negative, more or less doesn't open up to that. No.
Yeah. Can you hear us, Beans? Because you sounding horrible. All we can hear is a bunch of static. Maybe. Oh no, that's no good. Maybe unplug your microphone. Try that.
Testing 1, 2.
There you
There
go.
you go.
There you go. Just don't. That microphone's on the fritz, I think.
Something's on the fritz.
There's something wrong with the connection there. So
I don't know. It's something. I went out and came back in. I don't know what's going on with it.
it just sounds like a crackly.
I've been hearing static coming from you guys too, distortion. So I don't know what that's all about. Just maybe it's the skulls giving
You never know.
extra.
They never know. It does that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hey, I have a question for you. I watched this program with Dan Willis and Alina Denan. It was this week. You ever heard of them?
Oh, what's the name? What's the name again?
Alina Denan. She's a ET contact.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah,
This guy Dan Willis works with crystals. And they
okay.
did this whole show on how you can interface with crystals. And then Alina Denan brought in one of her ET contact people, the people on the other side,
Mhm.
and they were talking about how the the whole nature of consciousness is geometric and crystalline. So
Right.
by connecting to crystals or to rocks, that you can project into the future, or you can change things, or you can amplify things in your own consciousness. And like we're talking about healing, like that's a possibility that crystals enhance healing. But I recommend, if you haven't seen that particular
Yeah,
video,
sounds
that
that because I do believe in that. So that sounds quite interesting. I understand how it works pretty good.
backs up what you're saying. The ET star people use crystals, so they were talking about one craft that they visited, where the whole inside of the craft was crystals, and they call crystals the purest element in the world, in the universe. This kind of crystals like you're talking about. They're the purest thing in the universe. and that they are programmable. So you can
Right.
put energy into it, like water is programmable, and you can program water, but you can also
Right.
program crystals. Yeah. And the other thing that was really important is after that show, Dan Willis was talking about how they were looking at they had this like group meditation at the end of their so everybody with their crystals were going to do a group meditation. They actually saw a spike in the Schumann resonance at this exact time that the whole the people who were watching their program was doing
Uh,
a resonance. So this is really some confirmation right up your alley there.
yeah. There's it's an interesting time we're living in because all this stuff is it's really ancient knowledge is coming out now. It's not like, oh, we're finding new stuff. We're just remembering old stuff because the ancients and stuff like that dealt with that and used it in so many different ways for their communication and for their traveling and all that stuff. Yeah. So very interesting.
I don't know
Thank you.
if Brian told you this or not, but the first thing that before I ever got in touch with the Sasquatch,
Mhm.
the Sasquatch sent me a couple of shamans in my sleep and had me talk to a rock. And this rock said it was a rock god. And then I'm in my dream. I never had a shamanic dream. And
Yeah.
these two shamans say, hey, sit on this rock and talk to that rock. And that rock talked to me for 3 hours.
Wow.
3 hours, and
That's a
he
powerful
talked about
dream.
how water and rock make life. So there's a water and rock, water and crystals, water and rock. There's
Right.
like a love there. There's a connection there between because they're both elements, right? Water's an
Right.
element, and air is
Right.
an element, and rocks are an element. So the this God rock, this called himself a God rock, talked about the whole history of Earth from the point of view of water and rock. And he said, water and rock make life. And crystal is the purest, highest form of rock. So it's like crystal is the spirit of rock. And anyway, that went on for 3 hours. And he talked all about how water and rock make life. And then the life that is created creates more water and rock, and it just went on to all the little sand on the beach and little tiny animals, and it goes up to bigger
Right.
animals and trees and all this kind of stuff. And then he ends up with us, and he talks about, well, the water in us is our blood, and the rock inside of us is our bone, and inside the bones, which are made out of rock, is where the blood is created inside of us. And that was like a 3 hour kind of a deal. And
Wow. That's a powerful one. Yeah. That I bet that got your eyes open for a while, didn't it? It's like, wow. Yeah.
well, it did, but it didn't stop there. This is the thing the thing is that I could have written that off as a dream, right?
Mhm.
It's like, well, this is just a wild dream. But then the next day, when I was talking about it to my son, and he said, "Oh, look, you got some kind of a mystical thing going on." The next day, the rock talked to me again,
Mhm.
and he was talking about how the rocks got together and said they wanted to give human beings light, Light.
Mhm.
And then he went into the whole thing about how, you cannot generate electricity to make light without rocks. You need magnetic rocks and you need copper rocks and you need metal rocks to make a generator. And then you also need water to drive the generator. So water and rock make electricity, right?
Mhm.
And he was saying the consciousness of the rocks wanted light to come onto this planet, and they got people like Tesla and all these guys who were into it, which was happening all around the world at that time. There was a lot of people trying to figure out what the deal is with electricity, and
Wow.
then
Yeah.
and that one did, but it wasn't over yet. The next day, and then that was like 30 minutes to talk about how electricity came onto the planet and how they were behind it. And then the next day, which is the third day out, right? This is the dream, and the next day, and then the third day, they talked about how they want all human beings to be connected. They want everybody connected, all one. They want everybody connected and they're all one. So they started with TV, radio, and now computers. And then he went into this long explanation about how everything's done by energy and frequency that starts from electricity and then transmits through the atmosphere, and how we eventually get hooked up to the cell phones and computers, and so that we have this simulation of all one. Like we can connect to the all one, like we're connecting right now through this internet service.
Right.
You know, so to them, to the rock people, to the elementals, they're the ones that are large and in charge. They're the ones who are actually doing it, and it filters down to us, and we're the ones who bring it into manifestation. But the ideas and the ability to do it is in the water and rock.
Yeah, and yeah, then they, with putting out the idea, then the human beings, certain ones pick it up, and let's say 5 people pick it up, but only one person goes forward with it, and then they go on to something else, and it keeps the, because the knowledge is not something that only one person came up with. It came up, given to all that are able to hear and listen to it, bring it through. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. So we're connected, intimately connected to rocks. We are rocks.
Yeah.
I mean, our bones are rocks,
Mm-hmm.
and our
But it's
body
calcium,
is rock.
which is rock. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very. Yeah. There's so many interesting things, and that, have a dream like that, it's a blessing for sure. Be given
Well,
that.
that was my introduction. That was my introduction to Sasquatch, because at the time I did not even know it was Sasquatch that did that, and then I had to put 2 and 2 together, and I realized what they were saying with that. What they were saying with that is, if you can talk to a rock for 3 hours, that means everything in the entire universe, everything can be talked to. Everything is connected. There is no unconscious. There's not hierarchy of consciousness. You know what I mean? It's like humans are conscious, and then animals are less conscious, and trees are less conscious, and rocks don't have any consciousness at all. That's not the way it is at all. The whole spectrum, everything is conscious. The air, the stars, everything. You can talk to a planet. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's why this skull interface is so interesting, because what the skull is doing is saying, it's saying, it's a rock, right? But it's in the shape and form of a skull. And that means in human intelligence, spiritual intelligence, right? That's what's the significance of the skull is. It's, if it was just a rock, if it was just a rock, we humans have a hard time saying, oh, well, that's an intelligent being, right? But a rock in the shape of a skull, what that really means is there's a rock, a crystalline rock, that is intelligent. And from what you're talking about, it is intelligent. It does things. It influences things. It helps things and clears things.
Yeah, I feel that with crystal, it holds vibration, and they imbued in vibration in it that affects each human, and the fact that it goes into their pineal gland, which is a crystalline structure, and puts that frequency in there, and that's how it kind of opens people up to this universal love as it travels around. So it's like taking a pebble and throwing it in the water, and it goes out in waves, affecting all over the earth. Hopefully, that's what our goal is.
Yeah, I think geez, I forgot. No, I forgot my point. I just had a heart attack a week ago, so I'm kind of fuzzy. But I did have another question, and that'll come back to me. So does this skull have it's got a consciousness, obviously, but does it have an active mind like we do? I mean, how does it, is it thinking? Is it formulating thoughts?
It is you can see it here, but it's really all around you. And so many people think they can, oh, there, I can do this, but they're not realizing it's a bigger conscious than they understand. So it's pretty interesting how it works.
Well, I think that's the same with people though, too, right?
Yeah,
Go
different
ahead.
people, not
Go ahead.
everybody.
Sorry for
Yeah,
interrupting you. Go ahead.
yeah, but so it works really good with meditation. So if you have any time for me to do a meditation with you, it's a really good thing because it
We
takes
will
me.
do it. We've got all the time that you can spare. We've gone
Okay.
on for, I mean, when you get tired, just let us know. Oh, I know what I was going to say. What Beans was talking about or whatever is those kind of things are not, I don't think that they're real dreams. I think there's really these beings or whatever are entering your dreams. They're not like a standard dream. It's the same kind of thing with the Sasquatch dreams, right? And a case in point is I was pondering the thought because I was talking to a friend of mine about shape shifting with the Sasquatch, and they are capable of actually shape shifting into anything or any form, even a human. They've proven it to me. There's no question. So these dreams, I was in the process of writing about that for a book I'm doing, and I'm not sure if I'm going to include it or not. But it was on my mind, and I was thinking about it, pondering the thought of shape shifting into humans specifically. Well, a couple nights later, I had a dream, or as I say, not a dream, because they're different, of a Sasquatch walked right in front of me. And what did it do? Shape shifted into a human.
Yeah.
So, they're a little different than regular dreams. And I think obviously what Beans had was not only profound, it wasn't a regular dream either.
Well, there's a lot of lessons in dreams that we take the time, and the different spiritual beings work through the dreams to help us. So just open it up to that. It's a gift. God's a gift for sure.
Yeah. What has the skull told you, or has it told you? What are its origins? What does it say its origins are? Who made it?
It says it goes back to the Creator and in the very, very beginning of time is what it says. More than one time it said that. And I've worked with the head of the Mayans, the shaman that's the head of all the Mayans. I worked with some of the different Lakota, different chiefs that are very prolific, some of the best, and they all say that it's over 200,000 years old. So that's just what they throw out as a number from all of them. That they're all not together; they're all separate at different times, and that's what they say. But I think it, according to what I did, is I been working on this show that we've been working on, and one of the things they did is did a past life regression thing, that they regressed me back and then asked questions about the skull and a lot of interesting stuff about the history of the world, and the skull came through on that. It was pretty in depth, and they're putting together on a show that it'll be coming out, I guess, next year. That should be pretty interesting because it has all those different sides to what the skull's done and what we've done. Working with these different elders and stuff all over the country, and sacred spots. That's what I'm drawn to. So yeah.
It's sad how we attack things that we don't understand. And I think in the case of the skull too, some of these handlers or whatever you want to call them, they're not totally unaware of what's going on. And so something like the skull is an absolute, I'm getting this energy. I don't know if it's from my Sasquatch or from the skull, but it's in their best interest. They don't want the message of the skull and the Sasquatch people and whatever to come out, because that's going to unite us and connect us. And when in connection, there's no fear and they can't control us. So of course they're going to poo-poo all this kind of stuff because they're going to lose. They're going to lose their grip on us if we realize the message of the skull, take it to heart, the message of the Sasquatch people, the Star Nations people. So they certainly don't want to.
It's coming louder and louder, though, isn't it? it's coming out louder and clearer. So it's going to be harder to cut that off because it's out now. So yeah.
It certainly is. And what Bean said about his Rock Talk thing and how they wanted to create the internet and stuff like that. Well, that makes sense because, we there's a lot of bad things on the internet and a lot of negatives. But one thing it does is it allows us to connect with each other and to talk to each other and to realize, if we're so inclined that, we are all one stuff. All that information is much easier to be accessed that way.
Right. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. We cover pretty much everything because I got to leave in a few days. So I got to start getting things ready around here. So.
Well, did you want to talk? How much time do you have?
Oh, I have a little bit more. What would you like? Yeah.
Well, I would like to talk a little bit about maybe some of your Sasquatch experiences, if you've had some. And also you wanted to do a meditation with us. Okay,
we can do a meditation too. That would be great. Yeah. So, yeah, the Sasquatch experiences, I connect with things on the inner stuff. So it comes to me just like you're feeling it. When you feel it, it's really coming to your part of your consciousness.
Right.
So, and, it's just a matter if you tuned into it more, you would see it right with you. It is with you, but you don't always feel it. So, being out on Mount Shasta, on top of the mountain, and spending the night on top of the mountain a few weeks ago, they were around and they were keeping an eye on things and they're watching us while we're there. It was like you could just feel them around. You could hear it. Do you ever hear it where they hit the tree with like a stick and you?
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. So you could, there they are. They're here. And so you don't always come into view of physical contact, but I don't really need to see them physically. I just need the heart touch of the heart, So that's how I do it. And that's how I work with these higher spiritual beings, these interdimensional beings that are around a lot now.
That's how they connect with me too. It's pretty much a spiritual in the heart kind of business.
In the heart, yeah, and you can feel them, and it's just a very loving and warm, and you feel comforted. It's a comforting feeling.
Well, that's the I unplugged my microphone. I was feeding back a little bit, right?
It's your fault.
That's the true connection anyway. Like when I first started my connection with them, they were in my face, like whooping and showing themselves and doing all kinds of stuff, and they still do. But it's not as important now because they've got me in the course kind of thing, and it's an energetic thing now.
Right.
Yeah. So, what's this meditation that you wanted us to do? How do we have to prepare for it?
Well, I'll take you through it. It works really good with the skull because there's that 90-degree turn inside the skull. So it takes people really easy from the third and takes them right up into the higher planes. So
okay, I'm going to shut my light off so I can relax. Do you suggest that people do anything to prepare? We can all do it, right?
Just put your feet flat on the floor and get comfortable, or lay on the floor and be comfortable. Just be in a really comfortable position.
Well, I can't lay on the floor during the interview, but anyway.
Lay on the desk or something, right? Now just sit there. I just sit up and my feet flat on the floor and my hands in my lap, but just start concentrating on your breathing.
Let me just shut my light off first.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody who's listening can do this obviously too, right?
Yeah, it'll okay. And as you do, start your slow breathing in through your nose and like 7 or 8 counts up, and then just hold it for 4 seconds, and then let it out real slow, like 8 seconds. Go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and just hold it for a few seconds and start the breathing in. So you breathe in through your nose, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out through your mouth. And just let all the stress go out of your body. And I want you to do 3 breaths like that, just to start. So I want to connect the north, the south, the east, and the west. Bring those energies in. I want to ask all the angels, archangels, galactic warriors of light, elementals, any other higher being that wants to be with us, please come into the meditation now. And then with the skull, it connects to the other skulls, and I can connect them by telling them it to connect now. And you can feel the energy going out and back to the other 12 skulls, bringing the energy in to the circle. Now just concentrate on your third eye. You just feel that light in there, don't you? It's so light, bright. Going up into the heavens and bringing that energy, this beautiful white diamond light from the Father down from the Creator into the top of the skull, into the top of your head, filling you with this light and love. Now with your third eye looking deep into the earth, deep into the center of the earth, and you see this light coming from the heart of the mother. It's a beautiful sunset pink of universal love coming up, bringing it into the skull, into your body, and let it connect in your heart. Connect in your heart. Now just let that light expand in you, in the skull, and you feel the connection. We're connecting all of us together in this beautiful light and love. And you can feel the energy flowing through your body. You can see the energy going out your hands. You can take your hands now, and if you bring it over your body, you can see any dark spots that you have in your body, and they'll dissolve them, release them, let it go. Release anything you don't need. You can do it. Feel it now. Now, if you think about someone in your family, your friends, or anyone that just needs this healing light and love in your mind, go to them and take that light that's coming out of your hands, and you can just put the light and love on them and dissolve any kind of blockage that they have. You can see it dissolving and going away. Do it now. Now you can feel like this light going around all of us, keeping us together in this healing light and love. And as you do, thinking about the skull, just feel the energy that's going up into the sky, and just feel yourself going up with that energy of light and love into the heavens, up high. And up there, let's expand all the energy. It's a healing light. We're going to send it around the earth. And you can see it going from your town to the state. Just let it go around, spread it that light and love. Now with that healing light you have, you can go wherever you feel needs it. To the war-torn areas, the areas that need water, the ones that need other healing. Go to those, whoever you feel needs it, and send the light, send the love. Anywhere you feel needs it, go now. Okay, we can bring it all back on the count of 5. 5, just feel 1 has been counted. You'll feel the energy coming back into your body. 2, feel the energy coming through your fingertips and toes as you're coming back. 3, feel that beautiful love and light, and just fill your body, your heart, your mind, all yourself with that love. 4, you're almost back. Now 5 has been counted, and you can come back whenever you're ready. Come back when you're ready. Thank you to all those beings and entities. Connection between the other 12 skulls open now. Thank you all. God's love.
Wonderful. So,
Thank you.
you want to
meditation
get going,
is
but can I
important.
ask you a couple more quick things?
Okay.
And we'd like to have you maybe back on again too. How has your life changed since you've been introduced to the skull? Maybe initially and since you've had it, but what's different about Bill Homann?
Bill Homann. Well, let's see. I've been learning and growing, and that's the thing. And I've been following. It takes me all over the place, and I more or less okay. Now I go out to. I just got back from almost 4 weeks out at Mount Shasta, working in different energy spots and different things out there. And I'll come back and I'll do some stuff in Sedona pretty soon, and different things. It takes you to these places. I had when I first got the skull, the movie Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull came out, and because of that, they had me fly to Cannes, France, and they put me in a super yacht out in the bay. That's a 385-foot yacht, and with all these, there was different. There's people in actors. But basically, it was a lot of high-ranking business people, sheikhs. I never knew what a sheikh was until I went there, but I found them to be very nice people. Here I am in the boat right off of Cannes, France for that, and meeting all these people coming by. That was the start of it. And then I've had lunch, dinner with the King of Spain one time, and stayed with a family of that was the head of the royal family of France in one of their castles. And that was just kind of the fun, interesting stuff. But meeting all kind of people, traveling the world, it just takes you all over the place. And has it changed me? Yeah, because I'm learning with everything I do, and I find that in life, and this is a lesson that's really good, is whatever moments you're in that's special, and you'll find these special moments all the time, but so many times you're in a hurry and you go right through it and you miss them, and it's like, oh, what happened? Oh, look at the picture, now I remember. But I say that when you're in these special moments, you need to take the time to really remember it and put it in your mind as something very special, and that way you can take it with you wherever you are and make it important, which it is important. I can remember being in the Hopi reservation, working with a shaman there on the side of a big ravine, and we were on the sacred rocks working with the skull, and the sun was going down to the most beautiful sunset you ever saw. At the same time, a full moon was coming up behind us because it was the equinox. We had the two things happening at once. As we were sitting there smoking their ancient pipes and ancient tobacco, and listen to doing the ceremonies with it. So I thought, wow, I need to remember this. And so it's just times like that that are important in your life to really remember. And with the skull state, things you need to do is remember. I'm trying to do that more. It's also saying it's time for joy, and it's time for peace, and it's a time for happiness. Those are the things we need to put in our life. And as creator gods, which we are, and we create everything, it's time for us to put that in our mind and make good things happen.
Wow. I got one question from, and there's lots of questions, but we're not going to have time to get to them. But I did like this one from Teresa Warren.
Uh-huh.
When the skull is working with a bunch of people, do you have to like cleanse it? I don't mean physically clean it, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, it has cleansing that it does, and I do too when I work with a lot of people all the time. Yeah.
You mean energetically? I mean, right?
Energetically, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I use salt and wash it too. So yeah.
So both ways.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, did you want to say something to? Okay. So what is the message in a nutshell of the skull? And then we'll let you go because I respect your time and
Well,
and I'm very happy
to be in
job.
here. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What's the message? The skull's message is comes through with that universal love so strong, and the fact it has to be. You have to love yourself before you can love anybody else. And a lot of people, if you're not in balance with your true happiness, then it has a tendency to, you do things for other people that to be mean because you're really being mean to yourself. So it's work on bringing that universe to your heart and being able to share that, because we have, as creator beings, our minds, if you think about it, you have created everything in your life. You created the show, you created the car you're driving, everything you have, you create. And it's not like it happens immediately, but things are happening faster now. So that being the case, if you want stuff in your life, here's your choice. You want good stuff or do you want bad stuff? And ask people, they'll say, I want good stuff. But, in having good stuff, you got to put those good thoughts out, because you are what you think. It is real and it is powerful. So, but have fun, find your fun, find your joy, and go after it. And that's kind of the big plus in life. So if you can do that.
Do you? Yeah.
I have a big question.
Do you think the transition that we're going through is there going to be some kind of completion or climax or whatever when the 13 skulls are all together?
Let's see. Well, let's see. And what the thing is, that when we were doing our meditation, these skulls, when they were made and given to the different masters who lived in different areas of the earth. Okay. And now they've taken these skulls and they planted them in certain power spots on the earth. Okay. Here's where the ley lines are such, and it grounds that energy there with the skulls. And so we're able to connect with these skulls because that's how they were made. So when I have this skull, I can connect to the other 12 skulls just as easy as anything. And when I connect to them, it's just like them being in the room, So it is a thing that happens when you can do it. And once I've learned about it, I do it because then it helps the meditation. So
do they have personality? Skulls? Do they all have their own?
He's got a sense of humor, I'll tell you that.
But I mean, each individual one, do they have different personalities?
Let's see. Personality is a very small limiting thing. So
yeah, I realize that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's a set mindset that it goes with. Yeah, it believes in, works with certain things. It's programmed in a positive way to bring positive action. And at one time, it can be used negatively. But I think that the blocks are on it, that would make it pretty hard for that to happen.
Mhm. And
I have a question.
Yep.
If is that all right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're in kind of dark times, and there's a lot of negativity and strange things going on with the governments and on a spiritual level, and people all want to ascend. They want a new world. So what does the skull say about our chances of winning this
Okay.
battle of
Well, you
good
know
and
what?
evil?
This is the same place we're at a number of thousand years ago in Atlantis. And a lot of the people that are players that were on one side are here, and the players on the other side are here. Okay. But what they're doing is as the galactics are watching the play out of this whole thing, it's just, are we going to be able to come into a higher consciousness or are we not? And we all are important because the negative and the positive is pushing us towards that or away from it. And it's up to us to take charge of our minds and our hearts and be able to put us in the position of this higher consciousness. So that's where we're going. So there is that battle there, so to say. It's a battle, but really it's a thing of growth. And we're in an experimental group of beings, and we're here working out this possibility of changing. If we change this and come to a higher consciousness, it's going to affect all of our world, but all worlds are going to be affected by it. So it's a big thing that's happening. Both sides are in play, but they're here on both sides to push to that greater knowledge and power to take back our power, because we really have all the power. We're gods, but we are been beat down as beggars, and we're the kings and queens, but we're made beggars, and we're walking around begging, but it's our
Truth.
yeah. And so it's just a matter of us taking back who and what we are and bringing that out, because it's higher consciousness could be brought into it just by the 100th monkey of enough people coming into the possibility that they have control of their life and their world, and they are going to create a world that's has hope for themselves, their family, their friends, and their children and the world. We work because it's not just, I want to take care of myself. We are all a part of everything. And when we come to learn that, so many people, this person's like this, and you don't like that kind of people. But really, when you see something you don't like in someone else, it's usually something inside of yourself you don't like. And so it's really good when you see something that really, I can't stand that. It's, they're so out of my league of thought. And they're really, then what they do is look at that inside yourself, and by letting it go and forgiving them forgives you, and it brings this into a different way of thinking. So there's a lot of really interesting things that are happening right now. And I think that once we can realize, we have all these programs that keep us from our full potential. When you were 6 years old, somebody made fun of you for this. And so because of that, now you have taken all your stuff and you've hid it away. And this is your gifts. So many psychic, spiritual people are very sensitive, and they get in families that people make fun of them, and they hide I can see through walls, or I can do this. They can have these gifts, but they've hidden them. And it's time to realize that you're not a child anymore. Those gifts are yours from the Creator. You take your gifts back and use them to help all of mankind, because we need your gifts, and I need my gifts, and this one needs this one's gifts, and we have to put them all together. But if you're not using your gifts, you're not your full self, And I always say we're making this beautiful picture, and each individual needs to become their full self so their piece will fit in that. Because if it doesn't, we don't have the whole picture, and it's funny. So come together, and every one of us are important. Every one of us have something that they can give special to all of us. And that's where we're at right now. And that's the fun thing. Are we going to do it? Okay. If we're not, we're not. But hey, we messed up before. We can mess up again.
I think we're going to do it. Because,
Teresa Warren was, she was one of the persons who asked you about clearing and clearing the crystals, right? To
Yeah.
get rid of all the negative or the old stuff in the crystals. And that's an understanding that almost everybody who has rocks and crystals, you got to, like you say, put salt on them, leave them in the sun, put them in water, something like that to clear the crystals. But that's also a metaphor of we have to clear
They're right.
our crystal skull. We have stuff
Right.
that's accumulated and stuck to us that has to go, that has to be cleared out, which is the emotional stuff and
Mhm.
the wrong thinking. Like, for example, we have the near-death experience, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people talking about near death. But what that is it's coming forward into the human consciousness that we don't ever die, right? We are immortal
Right.
beings, like you're saying, and this is a big clearing of old beliefs, right? And this goes on all the time. So whatever you're talking about, the crystal skulls is a metaphor for what we have to do with our skulls, which is to clear out the negativity, the darkness, the
Blockages.
demons, whatever they are. Whether it's childhood issues or the government trying to make us all slaves. It's the same thing. You have to get rid of that stuff.
I like what you said about reclaiming our gifts because, with my personal experience from the Sasquatch people, which goes across the board with the skull and different things, we are starting to realize we have gifts. People are getting more and more gifts and being awakened to what we actually are, being more psychic or becoming healers or doing stuff like this. So these gifts are waking up. And personally, I think that we are going to win because, we've got so many people or so many entities reaching out to us and nudging us and guiding us that, time doesn't exist for them. So I think that they have an idea of what's coming down the pike. And I think it's very good. And, and as a creator, oh, I'm getting lit up with energy right now. And as a creator, regardless, I'm going to imagine and create good. Right?
Yeah. Right.
That's the way it's got to go.
It's got to go. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Well, what it is, you take our soul and we're born here, but we have all this different programs that are running within us. Like money doesn't grow in trees or whatever one that we were taught as a child or in past lives that have come up, and we're carrying it on our back like a big suitcase full of something, and we put it down and look at it. It's nothing. It's just a bunch of old clothes that don't even fit. And you put it down and you just feel so free because we are the creators and we create everything. But here we are carrying all this stuff. We can't really become our full powerful self. If you get rid of all that stuff and you throw it away and release it because you don't need it, and now in your new life, and here your new day, this is the first day of your new life, and now you can create or be anything. What do you want to make it to be? And you can, there's nothing that you can't have, especially it does, as long as you don't affect and hurt other people, you can be anything. So what do you want to be? Go for it. Have fun.
Yeah. Well, I like what I like about this is that you haven't said one word that I do not totally agree with, and it's from my teachings and my experience too. It's all the same stuff, and it's all from a pure love, higher source, and it's it speaks volumes that we're saying the exact same thing, maybe from a different messenger, but the same message, and it's powerful, it's hopeful, and we've got to look at this time, like you said, as an opportunity, as exciting, even with all the fear that's going on. It's, you need a hard slap in the head to wake up. So we're getting that. So we're getting, we're actually blessed that we're getting that, because if everything was going along quietly and as normal and whatever, then we wouldn't have the wake up call. So it's all good.
So adventure, that's what it's about. Let's have an adventure.
Yeah. So I guess you want to get going, my friend.
Well, I bet I have a lot to do and a short time to do it. So, but I appreciate the time here. I had a very good time, and I hope you take that love with you, and let's all share that, you know.
Always.
So,
Listen, swing back by the Pork and Bean Show group on Facebook, because you got a lot of nice comments and people giving you love there. And also that video I was telling you about of it's on there too, but you can also find her on YouTube. Yeah, so you got a great slice of the pie. Thanks so much for showing up.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
And can we ask you back again sometime? Because I don't think I think we probably just, like, with so many of our deep and wonderful guests, we probably just scratched the surface. So we'll invite you back anytime.
That'd be great. I love it. So sounds good. So
all
have
right.
a good day, and let's keep. You know what it is it's that 100-month monkey. You know, you're feeling it. I'm feeling it. We're all from different parts of the world feeling it. But that's all it takes to raise the consciousness. You know, because we come to that consciousness, it's going to go spread all over the world. Yeah.
Are we going to win? Are we going to win?
Yes, we are.
We're going to have fun and go with our joy. That's what we're going to do.
All right.
Just ask me, Beans, if we're going to win.
Pardon?
I said you could just ask me that. Yes, we're winning, and we're going to win.
There you go. Okay. Well, yeah. You know, we don't want to put it in a win-lose thing. We're just going to make it happen the way that is better for our spiritual self coming to this higher consciousness. So yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Much joy, much love, you guys. Thank you. And
thank you, Bill, for gracing us with your presence. On behalf of Port Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Beans, this has been the Pork and Bean Show. Thank you to our special guest, Bill Homann, and another great show. And boy, I was just lit up with energy the whole time. A lot of truth being shared here, and love to everybody. No fear, guys. No fear. We can get through this.
Yep.
Love you, man.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
This show's going to be on YouTube in a couple of days, so look up Brian's channel on YouTube if you want to catch it.
I will. Thank you. Yeah. And I'll look up those other YouTube things you told me about. That'll be great. Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I love you so, don't you know, I wanna be your play. All the buttons coming down, take my time, hot and high, hot and high, hot and high. For the tummy, oh my, love a big old thing of pork and beans. Goody, 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 goody. Love it, in the tummy. Love baby, love high, love ooh, love why. I love me some bowling rain. Don't you know you gotta need that feed. You got to have some pork and bean. Pork and bean. I'm gonna holler, yo, mashed potato, oh, have a now, don't wait for later, by the time. Come get your health and come see.